Hello, I am Hyper G. I'm here with Lucky Sixes.
Hello again.
Yeah, and third video now, and we're going to go on. You go first.
Melee.
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 We just swapped.
Melee.
Yeah. Maloo.
I'm not. Yeah.
No, we don't know how that.
There's so many of these words.
Yeah.
But
running theme. Okay, so it's all about fighting. The fighting phase for now.
Close combat, it used to be called.
Yes, it is, and it is still pretty close because you've got to be engaged. But anyway,
Running a combat.
Okay, so this first bit talks about the phase sequence.
Same as before.
Yeah, they've clarified the whole no longer engaged thing, which was always a problem in previous editions. Like if you've somehow managed to go into combat and then before you actually start that combat, you find yourself no longer engaged. So they've got that clarified.
That's in there, yeah.
In fact, we can probably skip this summary and just go into each part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you want to just scan those, you can. So no longer engaged, like I said, has been clarified just to make sure you know what you're doing if you've not got enemies at the start of that phase.
Yep.
And then this round of combat sequence again is a summary.
It's got this thing because I think, as far as I can tell, it's all the same in terms of what order.
Yeah, there's still obviously they've changed the wording. Initiative is now called agility, but they still call each
initiative order.
Yeah, level of agility initiative order.
So it's still in there at some point.
It's a slight rewording there. And duels used to be called challenges.
Yeah, so there's a lot of renaming which is a common theme throughout the whole 2.0 process, but otherwise it's fairly similar. Yeah, and based on some of our games, it runs pretty smoothly.
I would say so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we'll just run through it very quickly. Initiative order, like I say, that goes in order of your agility. A few changes with agility in terms of what weapons grant you agility, and also if you're on the charge or not.
Yeah,
or being charged.
Yeah, paired weapons don't give you agility anymore, although we'll come to that later. But if you charge, you get +1.
You do,
agility, which I think is quite big.
Yeah, it is. It's something you have to remember.
Yeah,
because I'm sure your opponent won't help you remember that. I think if you've got spears, you get +2 agility rather than +1 agility.
I think so, but I think that's under the
yeah, we'll come on to that later when we've actually got it written in front of us to save me guessing and getting it wrong. But yeah, so initiative order is actually called the same as it used to be, only it's to do with the agility stat rather than the initiative stat.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good. Oh yeah, and here's what you were saying: charging momentum gives you, if you charge.
Yeah, it just makes the charge all that more important for some units. There's some units that will then, if they're going, say, ogres, for example, are now on the charge, also striking at the same time, and it's going to be really important with some. Or say your elf, you're now striking before the other elf, before you're at the same time. So I think that's going to make charging and the movement phase quite important moving forwards.
Yeah, and it goes back to, like you say, rewarding the charger, because it is you making that decision to charge most of the time. So you should have a reward for successfully completing it.
Yeah.
Which models can attack? I think this is a similar diagram to what was in 1.1 and 1.3, just clarifying which models are allowed to attack who.
Yeah.
Obviously, supporting attacks is very much the same. A standard size model usually just gets one supporting attack.
I don't know whether the war machines have changed ever so slightly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I don't know when we, because we're coming from 1.1 into this. The diagram there obviously shows 10 people going against.
And does it? Oh yeah, it does. It's just,
and it's just so it's based on model size now. The war machines. So I don't know. I'm not sure whether that's a new thing that they've introduced.
Yeah, there's a war machine special rule. So I think instead of it being a troop classification, it's now a whole special rule.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what that says there. But yeah, you're right. So basically what you're saying is that these 5 are attacking because they're in the front.
Yeah, and it looks like, because obviously the circle base or circular base, it would be touching the
60 mil, three 20 mil models.
That all 5 are in, which would sort of suggest that the bigger bases have less attacks. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Not something I've noticed, actually.
No. I suppose, yeah. I can't even remember the last
I think
time.
it might affect, because obviously that's now maximising the combat.
It is, yeah.
So obviously you might affect how you can charge into war machines and overrun, etc.
Yeah, you can't take out a line of war machines quite
just
as...
by diagonally, essentially.
Yeah, doing a bit of a dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So attacking over empty gaps, that's the same as it was.
Yep.
And allocating attacks, they've just changed the bits of like resilience replaces toughness, health pulse replaces.
Yeah, a lot of word changing. You'll find that in this.
Mm-hmm. And swirling melee is the same. I like swirling melee a lot.
Yeah.
Because it means that your guy, you don't lose attacks just because a character's blocking them. Basically,
unless you're a character yourself.
Yeah, characters don't benefit from swirling melee. And this diagram is a similar one. It's a very complicated situation, but it does lay it all out for you, so that's good.
Not one of my favourite ones. That one.
You don't like that one? No, I really love that one.
Oh no,
I've probably read that one about 5 times. But
yeah, it's a bit pink.
Bedtime reading for me.
A bit too pink.
Says the elf.
Yeah.
Okay. Rolling to hit. This is pretty much the same. It's been worded ever so slightly different. There's not a to hit chart anymore, is there?
No, it's not a chart.
I suppose it's changed then. Really,
I think it's changed quite a lot.
Yeah. Go on,
you can hit on a 2+ and a 6+ naturally now.
Yeah.
Without any modifier. Obviously, being -8 weapon skill is quite a difference. So
yeah, you imagine that you're talking about. Sorry. You're talking about
a big beast,
a big lord of chaos.
Yes,
attacking a Skaven slave
of the dark gods. Some would say.
Yes, some would. I definitely didn't start a different name. Yeah,
but yeah. So you're gonna. I think obviously if you're really quite good at attacking, you're gonna find that 2+ aren't irregular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not just as simple of if you're more than double.
No, that rule
hitting on 5s or anything like that.
Code has gone.
It'd be quite important to familiarise yourself with this table.
Yeah, most people are going to be hitting on 4s and 3s, but there are going to be some 5s out there, and on rare occasions, 6s.
Yeah, very rare.
Yeah.
We're talking peasant bowman versus I don't know.
Go on, get it right.
Yeah, versus demon prince of the dark gods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even wrath anymore, is it? It's all changed. Yeah.
But so you're not gonna come across that very much. But I suppose if you're the offensive weapon skill 10, you're going to be looking at those.
You are going to make sure they can't hit you very easily.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Generally, offensive skill is similar to defensive skill. You don't usually have a model that's vastly different.
They're not going to be vastly different. But there will be slight changes amongst them. So make sure you look out.
Yeah. Dropping out of combat is similar to No More Foes, except that it happens during the combat, and this just clarifies, what you have to do. So, say a big monster guy is attacking a unit that's not very big, and at the end of the combat, he's killed everyone that he's in touch with. It clarifies what you do with him. Yeah,
you nudge him over, or if it's not possible, carry on.
Yeah, but you can't change the facing or anything like that.
That's it.
And I imagine this will be quoted many times if that situation comes up.
Yeah. It hasn't changed too much from previous, I don't want to say editions, but iterations. I've said so many times. I'm trying to look for a new word.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah. If it's good,
yeah. So duels are the old challenges. I don't think they've changed at all. I'm going to say right now, have they changed at all? Don't think so.
Nah, just wording.
Just wording.
I guess for slightly newer players, the only thing to remember is if you refuse a challenge, your opponent chooses one of your models, which might be a general, might be a standard bearer.
And that model doesn't actually move as such, it just can't fight and loses its certain rules.
What ability? Yeah, so if you're a general, it goes down to discipline 0, which means you can't use leadership, or you shouldn't. Anyway, I'm not sure it's 100% you can't, but
I think
don't choose discipline. If you're new,
don't choose discipline 0 to take your break test. No.
That's not good.
No.
And if you're a BSB, you can't get the re-roll or the +1 for
Yeah.
combat res. So, but that's been there before as well.
It has. That's stayed the same. And also, of course, impact hits are included in challenge in duels now.
Yeah, all the special
So
attacks.
that's the same as it was in
yeah.
1.1. So not much different. Overkill is still there. I think it's been +3 overkill
for a while now. Yeah, still there.
We haven't really talked about combat resolution and calculating it because I think that's coming up, but it's pretty much the same as it was. So, if you're looking for a review on how to learn the game, this probably isn't a review for you anyway because we're skipping a lot of stuff.
Because we're still learning.
Yeah. Winning a round of combat. Yeah. So this is now talking about combat resolution and how you calculate it. Other than changing the wording, it's very similar.
Yep.
I think
there's no additional. So there's slight changes. There's no additional +1 for charging down a hill now.
No, I think that comes up again later, doesn't it? I think they've taken it out completely.
I think they have.
Have they?
I think there's no momentum thing.
Oh, okay.
So, there's obviously, if you, as we've mentioned before, if you're in line formation, which is the old horde formation, you don't get rank bonuses, which is a big change.
It is. Lots of movement trays going in the dustbin.
Yeah. Yeah. You still keep your tray. Just
you would think so.
Look a bit bare.
Yeah.
Rears and flanks. You get. You have sort of big and small rear and flank. So if you've got an extra rank 2 normally, you get an extra point.
Yeah.
If you're in either rear or flank.
Yeah.
And one to remember is if you get it's +1 for every standard you have.
It is now. Yeah.
Not just +1 for one or more.
No, so that's a 1.3 change.
Yeah.
We haven't actually played that as such, but we are aware of it. Yeah.
So yeah, count your standards.
That's not each unit standard, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
I thought it was
if you've got 3 units with 3 standards, that's +3.
I thought it was just you counted a unit standard and added another. Oh no, that's the same as it was. I'm talking rubbish. Carry on.
What the hell are you on about?
Yeah, I'm convincing myself I'm wrong.
You're talking about 2 different things.
I am.
But yes, so it's just one to remember.
Yeah. That's a summary of all of the different pluses and minuses. Actually, there are no minuses. Yeah. So at the end, once you've figured out your combat score, not called combat resolution anymore, is it? It's combat score. That one snuck under the radar. You decide whoever loses has to take a break test, which is a form of a discipline test with a negative modifier, depending on how much you lost by. And if you fail it, you flee.
You're off.
You're gone.
Rightfully so.
Steadfast is the same as it was. If you've got more ranks, you ignore
combat
the modifiers on your break test. And disrupted ranks is the same. 2 full ranks, and that's not rank bonus anymore. That's 2 full ranks.
Yeah, so if you've got 10 models, 5 by 2. Yeah.
Then you disrupt.
You break steadfast.
If you're in flank or rear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can't do it from the front.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That wouldn't distract you very much, but they're right in front of us. Yeah. There's no more foes again.
Which is what we talked about before.
Yeah, already mentioned that. Splitting combat, it doesn't happen often, but no doubt they have to include this stuff because it does happen.
And this is where it's only saying that they're now 2 separate combats because you can't nudge them.
Yeah.
To beat without changing anything.
Yeah, but in the combat where they originally started together, you calculate the combat score as 1 before they split for the next combat. Pursuits and overruns, I always get it totally wrong, so you should probably...
Well, again, fairly similar. It's just basically, once you've done the thing, you declare who's going after them and who's not.
Yeah. That's it, really, isn't it? Yeah. There's not a lot of blue text, which means most of it's the same.
There is one, I think, coming up later on where it says that it's the player who's. So if you're fleeing, I choose if there's multiple units, I choose who you're fleeing from. It's not the most
not the
ranks
biggest.
anymore.
Okay,
But that is coming up soon.
I think it's
Otherwise, it's fairly similar. There's a lot of wording that changes, but you're fleeing from each unit, from what I can tell, anyway.
Flee distance and fleeing units. Yeah. If there is more than one unit, the players whose units are not fleeing chooses which of the units base contact with the fleeing unit. The flight will be directed away.
That's good. I think that
it is. It means you've got more control when you go into the combat.
You win a combat, you have a lot more
choice over what happens to the enemy.
You dictate how it goes a bit more.
Yeah.
So
definitely useful. I'm not sure how easy it would be. Was previous for your opponent to use that to their advantage, but this definitely puts the advantage.
Well, you never want to lose a combat.
No, you don't.
Anyway, but I guess if there'll be certain times when your big unit comes in on the flank, and then you're chasing towards the side rather than forward.
Whereas you might want to get back in the fight. Also.
Exactly. So it just gives you that bit of extra.
Wow.
Blue. Sea of blue.
The whole movement stuff is really hard to talk about because there's so many different things that interact with each other.
There's a few small changes I think that they do, and it's all about you pivoting first. So I choose you go away from this unit or a unit, and then you pivot immediately from that unit, run away, so I think it possibly could as well help you out so you might be setting up in battles. You might be setting up the thing to be flank and front, and then you have a decision to make which would be best for you for them to flee from, and you move on from that really.
Forward ahead, that just talks about if you contact stuff. Forward ahead. Well, new wording, but the board edge, like we say, you can't go over the board edge at all now. You can. Pursuing off the table counts, but you can't choose to go off the board. Willingly.
You can't do it in movement phase, and if you flee off, you're off.
And this next one, the 2.2 enemy unit, this is the one that I get horribly wrong and you get right. In that if you...
cheers, mate.
Yeah, I know. It's one time for everything.
Log of that one.
If you overrun and you contact with an enemy unit, you basically declare a new charge against that unit.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah.
And it counts as a successful charge because you've already counted as hitting them.
Because a few versions ago, you would just move straight forward. And you would hit however you hit. But now if you would hit another unit, you then declare a charge, but they can only stand. And you then try to maximise where you can.
Normal.
So that's just so that you don't get the charge, clip, and then your cavalry, who's only got one guy in combat in that turn,
finds himself against 8 infantry or something like that.
And then you lose the charge bonus. Really. So it's just making sure that if you do overrun into another one, you do get a bit of a bonus. Because
you can just reset your whole charge. And you imagine in that situation, you'd probably be choosing for that to happen, so you wouldn't be too bothered by
you'd run into him because you want to run into him. And
friendly unit, that means you just have to bounce, don't you? Which is fine. It sometimes is a bit complex, but as long as you abide by the whole unit spacing rules so that each unit is an inch apart, you're okay. And you basically have to keep going until all your models are in legal positions, basically. And like I say, pursuing off the table still exists, and you just don't count as on the board, which has always been the case, but you just have to remember
and a lot of this, it feels the same as before. It hasn't changed too much, to be honest.
Just if you have that wizard with 3 channel 1 special rules.
Most of the movement stuff, if I'm honest, has simplified to be less argumentative, if you will. Before you might have been had an opponent where they'd ask, actually, did you go 9 inches, or do you go 9.7? Thank you, sir. And you'd be like, well, actually, I think I went 9.5 on before, so you're right, but I didn't quite get any. But this one is going, right, where did you start? Where did you end?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Deal with it.
Yeah. So it's cleared up a lot of that. Some more lovely diagrams.
Yeah, liking the diagrams. I mean,
this is a simple example of a pursuit.
it is, yeah.
This one says.
So basically, the fleer has outrun the pursuer by 3 inches. Well done.
Well done.
Yeah, you'd be gutted if you rolled that 3. Especially as it looks like 8 infantry or 9 infantry have just taken
might
out
have
a
had
monster.
Swiss strike, though. You never know.
Well, it doesn't have a third dice, then, does it?
They've taken that away. They don't need 3 dice. Complicated. This is a simple example.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'll move on.
Come on, man.
Sorry. These more complicated ones for you.
God.
We won't talk about each of them individually.
Because it doesn't say simple example.
It doesn't.
It understands that it's
You're
not
right.
simple
The other one said
example.
simple, didn't it? This one just says examples.
Yeah, really.
Because they're not so simple. Beautiful. Lovely colours as well.
But yeah, again, like we said before, these are great to look at and clarify when needed, but
Yeah. We won't
read them to you.
not going to spoon feed you with them.
No, come on, learn it for yourself.
Combat reform. If you don't want to pursue or overrun, and you're not overrunning, then you can do a reform. Basically, you can't reform in order to claim an objective in the last turn, which is
Something to think about.
something to remember when you're trying to grab that last objective point. But generally, it just means that you can win a combat and then turn around if you want to deal with a new threat, which is a really useful thing. I think that rule's always existed, but giving it its own little section it just clarifies.
Yeah.
That's all good. Attacks. So yeah, lots of attacks are. There's not just attacks in combat. There's ranged attacks as well, which obviously usually are separated into the melee phase and the shooting phase. But this section just deals with what is what, and this bit is a bit like spoon feeding, but they have to put it in just because people try and find loopholes.
Yeah, it's the tedious part that just needs to spell it out word for word, doesn't it?
Yeah, so everything that's not a melee attack is a ranged attack. Simple as, really.
Yeah.
And that just goes over, another attack sequence, really, which
that's the
kind of already been through.
If you're a beginner, this is good to know, I think, but nothing's changed since any of the versions. So if you've played Night Version before, you'll get this.
Yeah, definitely.
Without thinking, really.
Yeah. Distributing hits, that just means, that's more important for ranged attacks. And I think that comes up in more details later.
Mm-hmm.
But more clarification, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And to wound rolls, I think this has stayed the same, hasn't it?
Yeah.
This hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And,
it's neatening it up, but otherwise the same.
Yeah. And saying the natural roll of 6 always succeeds, natural roll of 1 always fails.
Which is a theme. That's everywhere, isn't it, really?
Mm.
There's not many times when you can roll. Well, any, I don't think there's not.
Yeah. I think some time ago, you did used to be able to auto-wound.
Yeah.
But they've clarified 1 is always a fail now, which I think has been the case for the last few versions at least. Armour saves and armour modifiers, this has changed. Because your armour save is no longer modified by the strength of the opponent's attacks. They now have a armour penetration value.
Yeah.
Which dictates how much your armour is reduced. I think that pretty much covers it, really. I mean, usually the armour penetration of the model that you have is the same as what it used to be from the strength that you have. So if the model has strength 5...
Yeah, they didn't change that much. I thought that was an opportunity.
Yeah, you'll probably have armour penetration
I thought they were gonna, but...
No, I haven't... There's probably loads of examples out there where it has changed. But I haven't spotted any in the books I've looked at.
But, for example, the Great Weapon still is AP2.
Yes, Yep. So that's all fine. And this is just saying if you pass an armour save, that's the first way of stopping a wound going through. Special saves, like we said, it's changed from Ward to Aegis, or you call it
Aegis.
Weirdo.
Aegis.
Yep. And there's regeneration, which is the same as it was. You can't use both saves. You've got to choose regeneration or Aegis.
Yep.
And that's cool. Not as easy to get an Aegis save as it used to be.
No.
For characters.
They've got rid of the standard 4+.
Yeah.
From the rulebook, which makes characters not as tanky.
Definitely. Because I think a lot of people would just choose it.
It was pretty much an auto go-to, and and the other points were just...
what else can you fit in with it?
Fit? Now, even the 5+ ward save isn't as dead cert.
No.
So you're almost looking at, well, do I go full defence, or do I go...
Some other quirky version.
Because if you go 5 up Aegis, you're not... That's not a guaranteed... Like, that's not an incredible defence, so you've got to add some
you're
more
only saving
defence
1
to
in 3, aren't you? Yeah.
So you're going to add more.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually probably put in more points to defence now if you want that. Or you just go full belt. I'm going to
kill you before you kill me.
Exactly.
This just clarifies you can attack champions separately, and they have their own health pool separate to rank and file models. That's fairly standard.
This is all just changing the words.
Yeah.
It's
really weird talking about stuff that long-term players, no matter what version, long-term players already know.
Yeah.
And new people are like, what? How are they going through this so quickly? But we are, because we consider this standard gaming. So, really harsh on us.
And if you're looking at a report on a review of a book, you've probably A, already read it, and B, had something to do with the Ninth Age at some point.
Yeah, you're probably not just picking up a book.
I don't think
without ever having
Joe Blogs goes onto YouTube and types in the Ninth Age.
No, not usually.
And goes, oh, this looks interesting. I bet it don't.
Yeah, you'd think that has quite a few other things that they'd be looking
Absolutely.
at. Panic test. They're discipline tests again. And they've stayed the same. So if you're within 6 inches of a friendly unit that breaks or is destroyed or flees, if a unit flees through you, then you have to take a panic test. And if you suffer 25% casualties, which is the same as it was.
Yeah, but although the one thing I think we've said about this before is the health points.
Yeah.
So it's the total health points rather than just models or anything like that, and it includes characters
in the unit. Yeah, they count towards the full total.
So it's total wounds or health points rather than models.
Yeah, because obviously some units have multi-wound or multi-health point models. But then there's this bit about where a unit flees from in panic, which is clarifying it. I mean, we had a case in our battle the other day, which we'll talk about another time, where we weren't sure where the fleeing unit moved towards. And we used this section to figure it out. So use this section.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah. So psychology, shaken is a whole new thing, which we talked about earlier when we mentioned decimated tests.
Yeah.
So it's basically a new way of saying once a unit has had something bad happen to it, but that is pretty bad, but is not bad enough to make it flee, or something. Would you say that's pretty much covers what shaken is?
It's one of the most vaguest.
Was that pretty vague? Something bad happens, but you're not fleeing. Shaken.
Anything in warfare.
Yeah, right. You say warfare's not fun.
No, for us, but when.
All right, go on. Take it away then. What's shaken?
Well, it's anything that's.
You can't insult the way I explain it.
No, you're right. I apologise.
Go blank.
You're right.
Yeah, so shaken stops you doing a lot of things. You are shaken until you pass a decimated test, or no, you're shaken until you the following turn. Yeah.
So once you've once you become shaken, it's until your following turn. So you can get say right at the bottom. There's a -1 to hit in close combat, and +1 to hit for the people charging you as well. So don't get shaken.
Pretty much. Yes.
I think we did that well.
We covered that perfectly. That was probably the clearest section that we've gone through. Yeah, so fleeing, you can't do a lot when you're fleeing as well. I say that's worse than shaken.
I would say that's worse.
Yeah, although how can you say it's worse when...
I'm agreeing with you now, carry on.
All right.
We're a team.
We need to end this video quickly. Okay, so we're kind of moving on. We don't really know why. Victory conditions. This has been tidied up a bit. The one that has been taken away from 1.1, I don't know if it was in 1.3, is you don't get victory points for each normal standard that is destroyed or captured. They've basically taken that out. I always found that really difficult to score because I think previously it said something like you had to, in order to get extra victory points for a captured standard, the unit that captured the standard had to have actually survived, and that was really hard to go back and work out. Like if you killed an enemy unit in your turn 2, but by turn 5 your unit was then fleeing, you wouldn't get those points. No, it was just difficult to work out, and so they've just taken it out altogether. That doesn't apply to the battle standard bearer, of which there is only one. That's still in there. If you're both fleeing and decimated, you get the full points for an enemy unit, which is good. Crucial. It means you don't have to spend your time running down one model in a unit of 50 who is fleeing. You just really hope they don't rally on the last turn. That one model, because it is actually possible for them to rally just on half discipline. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Secondary objectives are a big thing. We went through some of them earlier on, and this explains how you win those secondary objectives, basically. A lot of them involve capturing a territory or a token or something like that, and usually around turn 3 or 4 or turn 5, if you're lucky sixes, you start thinking about the secondary objectives and changing your tactics accordingly.
Absolutely.
But only certain units can claim secondary objectives, and they're called the scoring units. It used to be that you needed a standard bearer in order to be scoring. That's no longer the case. You basically, each model or each unit has scoring, or it doesn't.
There are a few changes in these. Obviously, with the addition of the Spores of War and Kings of the Hill.
Yeah.
Hold the Ground is at the end of each turn. You get a counter, and then at the end, whoever's got more counters. So it's not simply get there at the end.
I didn't realise that.
So, which is a very interesting one.
That is cool.
You do it for the first 4 turns, you've won.
The objective. Yeah.
And breakthrough is to a maximum of 3, which it wasn't before. So you're not going to often have too many more than 3.
If you basically just deploy at opposite sides of the board and just charge.
Both. So
I've got 9 units and you've got 8.
So, but there is a change, and we'll come into it at some point.
All right. Yeah. And units can lose scoring when fleeing, apparently. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so fleeing model obviously doesn't have scoring while it's fleeing, because that would be very annoying if a fleeing enemy claimed an objective at the end.
Do they lose it for the rest of the battle?
No, I imagine once they've rallied, they'll have it back. Maybe not while they're shaken, though.
True.
We could scroll up to look at that, but I'm not sure.
I think we covered that so well.
Oh, we did.
It'd be rude to go back, to be quite honest.
Yeah. As I mentioned, post-combat reforming in the last turn, you cannot claim an objective. And ambushing units that arrived after Game 3. Game turn 3.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I imagine if you're choosing to make a unit ambush, as we'll talk about later, you're probably not expecting them terribly to be grabbing objectives.
Unless you're Beastmen.
Yes. Beast heads.
Beast heads.
So who is the winner? Yeah, this is just calculating the winner based on victory points for a 4,500 point game, which this version is designed for.
Yep.
It involves a calculator most of the time. And obviously the objective gives an extra +3 to the winner and -3 to the loser, which is a big swing.
This secondary objectives are huge.
Yeah.
If you're new to this, then you really do have to think about the secondary objective and winning it or drawing it.
Because 14-6, which is the minimum you can still win by if you lose the objective, is quite hard to achieve. You know, you really have to have pounded your opponent to win 14-6.
It's nearly half your thing, isn't it? So.
Yeah. And then there's simplified rules for determining the winner. I can't say we ever used them.
No, we'll go on then.
Because I think most tournaments
if you're just having a bit of fun and maybe it's a big game and you don't really care about the result.
No, you're playing for a storyline or something. Yeah.
You just want to know win, massacre, draw, loss, whatever. That's the one. But normally for tournaments they use the above.
Yeah, they do. Model classification. Talk about this. I think we're okay for time. I think we're about half hour already. Cool. Maybe just a bit more. So this has changed quite a lot actually.
Yes.
You used to have troop types, and there used to be quite a lot of different troop types. Now there's model classifications based on your size. So as you can see, there's standard, large, and gigantic, just 3. And it dictates what rules apply to you. So as you can see, the full ranks, supporting attacks, dangerous terrain, and model rules tagged on. The numbers are laid out there, really.
Yeah. So it has changed, but it's all there.
And every army book makes it clear what unit is what size.
Well, I'm not sure how many gigantic stuff can do supporting attacks.
No.
Does that mean there's...
Wow, are there gigantic units out there?
Arachnorocks behind each other?
Oh, wow, that'd be incredible.
Or gargantulas, sorry.
That would be incredible.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Are there gigantic units? Put a comment. Tell us which is the gigantic unit.
Let us know.
I would love to know what a gigantic unit is.
And would you put them in formation?
Yeah, so that you get supporting. Wow, because
I don't know.
Wow, incredible.
That must surely just be in there to...
Yeah. You would think so. I really want someone to tell us.
Yeah. Please do. We're very interested.
We want to know what gigantic unit
can rank up
to get supporting attacks. That's brilliant. Yeah. So those extra rules tagged on: stomp attacks, towering presence, massive bulk, and terror are all the things that you would normally have applied to monsters. But the word monster is kind of gone now, isn't it?
Beast, I believe now.
And that's what we're moving into. 4 different types. So instead of war beast and monstrous cavalry and monstrous infantry, etc., you've just got 4 very clear different types. Again, each army book tells you what unit is what, so you really don't have much. There's no grey. You're either one or the other.
Yeah.
And construct covers chariots and war machines now, which is quite cool. Chariot is no longer its own troop type. It's just a special rule within construct, which is brilliant. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Because chariots were something special, weren't they, before? Models on foot and mounted. This one's always been a little bit complicated as to what rules you get for being mounted and everything. Yeah. And harnessed is a new thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So a lot of rules say doesn't apply to models with harnessed. And that is surprisingly really, really well thought out, I thought. Because there's some rules where you give a bonus to a particular part of your model, and you think, well, does this apply to all my parts, or just...
So it's just another clearing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they've done quite well then, haven't they, throughout? I mean, not just that, but there's been plenty of other things that they've cleared up. And,
yeah.
And things they haven't, they've drawn a wonderful diagram.
Exactly.
About,
Exactly. Character mounts, it just clarifies that riders and mounts use their own offensive skills, but they share defensive and global. Yeah, and if they don't have a skill, it's because you would use the others, basically. Usually a mount would have C in certain statistics because you'd use the rider.
Yeah. Yeah, anything with C in the thing it means your rider's doing it. The guy.
Yeah.
But it just basically tells you if you're confused, if there's two numbers for something, this is the page for you to find out.
Use the highest or whatever one it says to use. And model rules usually are very clear as to who it applies to, as we'll go on to when we actually talk about the various type of model rules. But I am really impressed with how they've done everything. So, kudos.
Good work.
Terrain. Now, we're at around 40 minutes. Do we want to talk about terrain or not? A lot of it's the same. We've got time to carry on.
Yeah, come on, boys.
Yeah. So, dangerous terrain, they've clarified, because of the change of sizes, they had to reword it ever so slightly. But I think it's, because chariots don't have their own. Well, the what chariot has to take is listed in the chariot special rule rather than in this section now, I think.
Okay.
But basically, the bigger you are, the more damage you're going to take from dangerous terrain.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but every different type of terrain determines who takes that test. If you don't have to take the test, then it doesn't matter how many dice you normally have to roll. Basically. Impassable terrain, opaque terrain. So yeah, line of sight. We didn't really talk about that in the end. Did we talk about that in the first video?
We've talked about that, yeah.
Yeah. So
changed massively, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, and covering terrain is what gives you cover, soft cover and hard cover. Terrain features. It's all very geographical, isn't it?
It is. I like it.
Yeah,
I'll say. They've added in some new words for things like impassable terrain, and now
they have. Yeah.
What are they called? Cliffs.
Yeah, cliffs are all new.
Something. But I'm sure we'll see now.
We will. Yes. I am gonna make a confession. I haven't read buildings.
Basically, they're making everyone has to be square bases. Sort of for the building.
Right.
You cannot go in unless you're a certain size. So you have to be smaller,
large or standard.
Before, yeah.
So not gigantic.
And in terms of model width as well. So it goes into a bit of if your unit size, so it's say millimeters wide and thing, it goes into them there. But if your unit is too big, you can't go into them.
Okay.
Gotcha. It still gives you flammable. Gives you fearless and stubborn as automatically.
So you can't run away from the building.
Yeah. When you're attacking a building, you then get to choose. So you charge the building. I think you can do multiple charges as well.
Nice.
From what I believe. I think you can, when you charge, if you fail, then you bounce back.
Yeah.
But that might be wrong actually. I think you, as the attacker, if you don't clear them out, you can choose whether you continue the attack or not.
Oh, okay.
And you either attack or reform.
Yeah.
And that's so a bit more of your choice there. Really.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it says here an assaulting unit that stops fighting is nudged, but I'm guessing you're choosing to stop fighting.
Yeah. Rather
than having to.
Yeah, it basically meaning that if you go in and don't wipe them out, you don't, for the second round, just bounce out automatically. You can choose to.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to reform away, but because it's a bit silly.
It is a bit silly that you're losing half of the time by constantly just bouncing off a building.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't stop attacking a building just to give your opponent a chance to rest, for example, would
Absolutely.
You? Which is essentially what it used to be. Yeah.
And then they can shoot at you.
That's true. Yeah, you don't want that. These are all the different types. Chasms, are they new as well?
No, they're the old impassable terrain.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Cliffs are a type of chasm, but are just hard cover.
Yeah. And so these are going through all the different types and clarifying what rules are associated with them.
Fields don't make you flammable anymore.
Oh, sad times.
They've taken that out.
Oh, that's a shame. The image of a field on fire is always quite an iconic one.
Forests.
Yeah, same as they were.
I think they're the same.
Yeah, you
Can't
like drawing me into a forest or out of. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
I do. And then we get back to. Can we get back to the war games? Please?
Okay, yeah. So hills. Yeah, that's all to do with line of sight. I mean, with a hill in a battle, you should always clarify with your opponent if you're unsure what effect that hill will have.
There's a few things here with hills. You get so if you're obviously you have to be on the hill to see things. And if you're behind it, you can't see it. But if you're slightly on it, you can see everything, and you get hard cover.
Yeah.
But if you're completely on it, oh no, it says so that I'm wrong. You get soft cover if you're on it slightly at the back, but if you're off it completely, you get hard cover.
Okay.
Interesting. The other one is the charging downhill is there, but it's in a different role, so to speak. You re-roll your failed charges.
That's what I've read. Yes.
So you don't get the +1 to combat score.
No.
You do get a re-roll charge.
Yeah.
If you're going from a hill downwards.
So you're more likely to make your charge, basically.
More likely to make
downhill.
Charge. So
you're running so fast you can't stop yourself.
Absolutely. So that's where they've changed that ever so slightly.
Brilliant. Yeah, ruins are there. They just clarify what models suffer dangerous terrain for them. Walls, still the same. You get distracting if you're defending it.
You need to defend it though.
Yeah, and water. One thing I noticed from changing from 1.1 is you can now march through them.
Yeah.
Or advance.
And
it is march.
Yeah. You lose flaming attacks when fighting someone in melee phase.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you've got flaming attack, if you've got regen, get in the water.
Yeah. Because no one can use their flaming attacks against you.
So in close combat, they can still shoot you.
Yeah. Yeah, those flaming arrows, eh? Okay, yeah, command group. Talk about that. They're called the same as they used to be. Good.
Yep.
Musician, standard bearer, and champion.
Helps us out.
It does. It makes it easier for us. Usually they're the last models removed from a unit.
Yeah.
Although champions can be targeted separately. They all have front rank. And special rule.
The newest addition is the musician and the standard bearer now have stand behind, so they don't stop your characters going in the front rank.
No.
So if you've got a front facing of 5, and you've got 3 command group and 3 characters, it's actually your command group that go in the second rank.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that one. So you can't use.
So they've changed that. Yeah.
To protect your wizard.
Can't just protect, but you will get some models and characters that have stand behind, and that just means you don't have to go in the first rank if you're a character or command group.
Cool. Nicely explained. I mean that.
It's one of the few.
Well, I didn't even know that. So that's cool.
Musicians changed. Also, it doesn't give you +1 to your discipline or leadership when rallying. But it does give opponents -1 to their march test. So you'd have to take a march test if someone's within 8. But it also if you've got a musician, it gives them -1 to that discipline test.
Yeah, so it's good. It helps out march blocking.
Yeah, absolutely. So unless you've got one, if you also have a musician, it's that bonus is cancelled out.
So it encourages you to take musicians, basically.
Very much so.
Yeah, because you personally weren't a fan of.
I'm not a musician, man. I don't like the music.
No,
you can stay at home, play some music on your flute.
Yes, that's what they do, so they're cool. Stand and bearer, similarly, have got front rank and stand behind, and their simple purpose is to add one to the combat score.
Absolutely. For each
one you have, yeah.
Remember that, please.
Yeah, don't get it wrong like me. And then champions have just got front rank, so they have to be in the front rank.
So they have to be. So that'd be similar to characters. They now don't get ballistic skill and...
what was it, the one? Weapon skill.
Weapon skill.
Yeah.
They simply just get +1 attack.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it, with the whole, it's 20 points per command group, but with a champion, that's probably one of the most disputed ones with everyone, because obviously you got a little goblin that's 20 points, and
compared to a chaos warrior who's also 20 points, it's you'd pay
absolutely
more for that warrior to have an extra attack than you would.
That's probably one of my biggest bugbears with that, but I suppose it's just for the sake of ease, isn't it?
Yeah, they can't really assess every single unit and how important a champion is.
Yeah.
Because there will always be a difference in opinion, won't there?
Absolutely.
And that order in the charge is still there for a champion. You will never fail a charge of 4 inches or less.
Mitigate dice.
Yeah. Stop those horrible occasions where you roll snake eyes or 3s or 3. Or 3, yeah. Yeah. And that's that for that section as well. I think we're at the stage where we want to end the video and talk about model rules another time, because there are a lot of them. We've referred to a few of them on many occasions, and now we get the fun of actually going through them. Yeah, so we'll end this here. Thank you very much for watching and bearing with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tolerating our random wording.
The ramblings of two men. But,
excellent.
See you guys next time.
See you later.